It's the final two as the CIF Southern Section Championship game is just around the corner. And how about the College World Series? It's the final 8 teams coming up. And we're going to talk all about it here in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. You gotta love this time of year if you're a baseball fan. You've got high school level, you've got college level, you got the pros going on right now in MILB, MLB, you guys name it. There's baseball all over the place. But I'm Alex Naveja, the host of Sideline Sports Podcast, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news. If you guys are enjoying every episode and you guys are really enjoying the fans and guests that are coming onto the podcast, please hit the like button. Also, hit the subscribe button down below so you guys can make sure to stay up to date with everything. And, of course, hit the notification bell as well, as we are just around the corner from subscriber number 300. And I know we are going to have a giveaway for you guys. A lucky subscriber going to be winning some prizes. We haven't leaked out what it is just yet, but I know Mark and I have been talking about it a lot and what it's going to be. So just make sure, hit the notification bell and hit the subscription button. You guys don't know who we're going to get this week, but on my left screen, that is Mark Vargas, NCAA football, NFL, combat sports, and NBA insider. Mark, how you doing, man?
Well, last week we had our, UFC 263 podcast, and, shout out to everybody who tuned in and shout out to everybody who watched the fight. And just like, I'm pretty sure Alex would say, I don't know if you watched this, Steven, but what a card. Fantastic card. But let's talk some CIF baseball, Final two. Let's get ready, man.
And there we go. The man that does not need an introduction on the bottom screen, that is Steven Granado, the voice of JSerra Baseball. Steven, pleasure to have you on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Dude, let's rock and fire. I'm ready to talk some CIF baseball. It's been one hell of a ride, so I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have you on here on the podcast. But before we talk about the business this morning, this episode of Sideline Sports Podcast was brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure to go on manscaped.com, who is the best men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men. Let's make that 3 million men worldwide. I have an exclusive offer for all of our listeners out there. It is Sideline20, promo code Sideline20. Go on manscaped.com, use it so you guys can get yourself 20% off plus free shipping. It's on Mark and I. We'll go ahead and take care of it. Maybe Mark will take care of the shipping. I'll take care of the 20% off, but just go on manscaped.com, use it. 20% off and free shipping. Can't beat it to get good stuff like this. That's an LED light, folks. It's such precise engineered shaving, and I'm telling you guys, it works great. And of course, first impressions matter the most. So let's talk about it, boys. Right now, it's coming down to the CIF Southern Section Championship game here in Division 1. It is Harvard-Westlake versus JSerra. First of all, Steven, what was that semifinals like? I mean, you guys had one heck of a ride. I mean, you guys got that first round bye, but every game just still seemed to be a challenge moving on there.
Well, that's just kind of the nature of the tournament, right? I always liken it to, I know I'm not breaking the mold here or saying anything people don't know, but it's March Madness style. It's one and done, and that's been the case entering this season for JSerra. It's been 3 straight first-round losses, and tough first-round losses, walk-offs and late-game rallies and, heartbreaking games. So to get that first-round bye, like you mentioned there, was huge for JSerra. They come out of the gate against Capo Valley, toss a combined no-hitter with Gage Jump on the hill, and then take care of business against Ukaipa. And then that you just mentioned that semifinal game that happened as of recording just yesterday, in the hottest day of the year, no less, on the top of Chino Hills, out at Ayala High School. And that was a heck of a ball game. You know, we talked about, I just brought up Gage Jump, or I talked about the combined no-hitter. That was Gage Jump on the hill, who's a top prospect and probably going to go within the first 2 rounds here, a UCLA commit. But he had a very uncharacteristic outing. First inning, 4 runs allowed. In 50 2/3 innings entering that game yesterday, had allowed just 3 runs all year and gave up 4 runs in the first on 9 batters faced. And they were smacking him around. And I've been watching Gage Jump for 4 years now since he was a freshman. I've never seen him throw like that before. His fastball was flat, was readable. His breaking ball, they were sitting on it. I mean, that Ayala team, you got to tip your cap to that Ayala team. They very, very easily could be in that championship game this weekend with Harvard-Westlake. But the offense showed up, a big 7th inning, 6-run inning, 3 homers hit, including Colin Blanchard, Luke Jewett, and Cody Schreier, a couple other top prospects that are making the rounds right now. But that game was hot. It was ridiculous. It was uncharacteristic. And I likened it to being on an alternate timeline. It felt like it was a completely different team in a completely different universe. But it was fun. No matter how it shook out. And again, hats off to Ayala and Chris Voigt over at the Ayala Bulldogs, because they put together one heck of a season and one heck of an offense. Man, that offense can hit. They're patient. They're smart. There's a lot of good stuff going on in Chino Hills this year. So they very easily could be in the championship round. And it's surprising, honestly, to me that they're not.
Absolutely. These guys, this is a team going into the playoffs that a lot of people were thinking, hey, Ayala is a team you can't sleep on. They can make a serious run this year. And they are a team that, unfortunately, they had to face off against JSerra. But the name of the game is you got to beat the best to be the best. And at the end of it, even then, I think even in the championship game, had they been able to make it, they'd have a tough Harvard-Westlake team to be able to go up against as we talk about now that championship game. Now, JSerra against Harvard-Westlake, this championship game. What are your thoughts going into this one?
Man, I don't know. It's a tough one. These are, best of LA versus best of OC. This is the SoCal showdown right here. This is pretty much exactly what you wanted. The only thing for me was, I wanted Orange Lutheran, just so it's an odd Trinity League matchup. And that 3-game series we had at the end of the year for JSerra to ultimately win their 5th Trinity League title was the best high school baseball I've ever seen, and probably the best high school baseball you'll ever get. And now maybe we might get something even a little bit better this weekend. Harvard-Westlake and JSerra faced off 2 times already this year, and they've been very close ball games, and both of them went to Harvard-Westlake, once in LA and once in Orange County. This one's going to be played at Cal State Fullerton on Saturday. So, normally you would look towards it and go, oh, maybe Harvard-Westlake, but it's a one game, it's a one game. So it's truly anything goes. And this is something that I've noticed all year is many times this season for JSerra, the Lions could easily have lost. Yes, they went on an 18-game winning streak. Yes, they have 27 wins this year, which ties a program record. They have all these historical makings, 3 no-hitters, walk-off slams to open up the year. It's been a ridiculous season, in a season in which we didn't think was even going to happen. Don't forget that. Just a couple months ago, we were going, hey, we might not even get baseball this year. But what's ridiculous about this team, they easily could have lost to St. John Bosco. They easily could have lost to Servite. They easily could have lost to Orange Lutheran. Multiple times this year, I have said they easily could have lost. Tying run on third, go ahead on second, tying run on third, 1-0, 1-0. Like these ridiculous games that the Lions have just squeaked out. But I think what it ultimately comes down to is they've won them. Every time I've said it, they've still won it. They've still been able to pull it out, and this pitching staff is ridiculous. This offense is now hot after 11 runs the other day. So, Harvard-Westlake's going to be hard. They're going to be extremely tough. Lions were getting no hit by Harvard-Westlake than they're up there in Los Angeles for, I think it was about a little over 4 innings. And that's happened already in this playoffs as well. They've been no hit for a while. So it's going to be a pitcher's duel. That's what I'd go ahead and imagine. I don't know the starters just yet. Eric Silva tossed in the semifinal game. He was slated to be the starter in the championship game. So I don't know if that's still going to shake out. We'll figure that out here shortly in the next coming days to see what the Lions are going to do on the mound. Don't know what Harvard-Westlake is going to do on the mound either, but they have arm after arm after arm. They're just in a very impressive club, a very well-coached club, a very smart club, aggressive. I mean, just everything you want out of baseball is going to be in this game. Right. You got really smart coaches, really good, seasoned coaches, seasoned elder statesmen, old upperclassmen ball clubs. I mean, this is going to be one of the best SoCal showdowns that you could have. I mean, you really can't ask for much more. And when you consider it nationally, I mean, this is going to be one of the best championship games in the country this year.
And, the thing, I'm a football guy, so I always like to compare everything to either my past experiences or, situations that I've known that's, went on. And to me, this sounds very much to like my experience when we were in high school. We lost to Villa Park my junior year in the playoffs, first round eliminated. We ended up seeing them in the summer, multiple different passing leagues, different lineman competitions. And every time they had our number, we would get there, we would be winning, something would happen, player goes down injured, or interception or turnover, whatever it was, they always had our number. And it took us a tough year being tested in certain games, taking taking one close loss that helped us get to that point where when we saw them again, it was our turn to have their number. You know what I mean? So that's what it's going to take for JSerra. Being, losing twice to them this year, one at their house, one at Harvard-Westlake, and now you're on a mutual setting. Now it's just time to go out there and play. There's nothing else to worry about. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. You don't have to worry about anything else but to showing up on that field. And what, seven innings, right? That's all you got to do. That's all you have to do. And it sounds like JSerra is resilient, being tested just this last round, like you said, being down and having to wake up, that's going to help them. And who knows? I think that's when you look at the end of, when you're losing games during the year and you go back on it and you look at them, it makes the story better. It makes that feeling when you win, it's, you remember that sense of defeat. You remember that, maybe we can't beat them, but if you have that mindset that we're going to go in and we're going to handle what we're supposed to do, it's just going to make everything feel better. And like you said, Steve, you've been doing everything this whole year with them. You're even going to feel that,
Well, I'm already starting to feel it. Mark, you got to remember, too, this team, JSerra, came in nationally ranked 1 and 2 in a couple of polls this year. Perfect Game had them way up there. Baseball America had them way up there. This team was very well touted to begin the season and then fell off the cliff. They started under 500, went 4-5 in their first 9. A team that was not supposed to do that at all, and they were losing ball games on their own fruition. They kept shooting themselves in the foot, so they fell from grace. And then all of a sudden, go on an 18-game winning streak, win their 5th Trinity League title. You mentioned, trying to liken it to football. I can liken it right now. This JSerra Harvard-Westlake game on the diamond is the exact same on the gridiron if you're going modern day and St. John Bosco. That's like the exact matchup that we have here. That's the highly touted teams that we have. I mean, top 15 teams. I believe the LA Times has JSerra at 1 and Harvard-Westlake at 2. So what more could you want? This is exactly what you wanted. The only thing is, if you had the 2 aces going on the hill, which are not going to go because Gage jump pitched in the semis, like I mentioned, but that would be the only true thing. But I mean, the Lions are stacked on the mound, and so is Harvard-Westlake. They've got guy after guy. I think they had a freshman shove it for over 4 innings against Orange Lutheran, and they barely squeaked past Orange Lutheran. Barely. They left the tying run at 3rd. So. I mean, this tournament is ridiculous. It's just it's March Madness in June.
That's awesome. That's every year. You look at every division. You look at all the different sports. There's so many stories. Like these kids, like you said, this season barely even happened. So all that stuff is is meeting together, and on Saturday we're gonna find out. But here's one thing I have to say: when you're at the top of the mountain, it's all breezy and everything. Everything's going well. But what says a lot about a team, a lot about a program, is that climb back up the mountain when you fall. And like you said, starting under 500, you're not having your ace. There's so many different excuses you could give to this JSerra team not to be where they're at, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the fact that they're even there, the talent that they have, this, the whole story going on. What else would you want? Like you said, what else do you want? If you're a fan, if you're somebody that's looking for something to watch, this is right here, right in your backyard, Southern California. You have OC versus LA. This is, like you said, literally modern day Bosco, but in baseball form.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's truly a perfect matchup. Again, I was, selfishly hoping Olu JSerra, but I mean, Harvard-Westlake JSerra, I can't get mad at either. Cal State Fullerton, right here in our backyard. And I think this is what's really cool too, is you're seeing a lot of like younger little league kids coming out and watching these games, and just the inspiration. And, I talk about this a lot on the air and in private with friends and stuff. High school baseball is as good as it's ever been. And I think it's really exciting to watch them, because everything that fans love about professional baseball, bat flipping, emotion, yelling, excitement, working hard and grinding, it's here. It's right here. And this is the future of professional baseball. We got 3 top, I think 108 MLB pipeline draft prospects this year on JSerra. So this is, if I haven't sold it enough yet, this is it. This is it. Go to this game. Like I don't know if they're charging or not, but even if they are, it's going to be cheap. So go to Cal State Fullerton on Saturday. It's going to be an incredible game. It's going to be exciting, and the atmosphere there. We've already seen the Orange Lutheran JSerra series was filled to the brim with thousands of people, thousands of listeners, thousands of watchers. It's ridiculous. So it's okay. You can skip Saturday Major League Baseball. It'll be there on Sunday. Go watch high school ball on Saturday.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Definitely going to be looking forward to it this weekend. I mean, I saw your tweet that you said, man, it could be possible to see Olu and JSerra again, but you know what?
I almost called it.
You were close, and I was actually keeping an eye out on it. I'm like, is Steven gonna call this right now? This is
I
nuts.
almost called it.
This is nuts. I was about to say, Steven, you know what? I need to reach out to you. You know what? Lunch is on me, because that's amazing. It was like you had the crystal ball sitting on your lap, and you said,
I was 2 runs away.
Yeah,
I was 2 runs away.
Oh, you were so close.
Yeah, they had the go-ahead run on second. I was right there, man.
You were probably rooting for it all the way as you're listening to Nathan. Like,
I was keeping my eye.
Get the score in the run, so that way we can meet again, and that'd be pretty nice to see right there. But let's wrap up this first half. And what are you seeing as this championship game? What do you think? Do you think JSerra's got it here, or is it going to be Harvard-Westlake? Because that's another school that produces a lot of major league talent, like Max Fried. They also have Giolito that's there with the Chicago White Sox. So what are you thinking?
Gosh, I mean, one, it would be sacrilegious for me to root against the team I cover for 4 years. Not root, but to bet against, I guess. Gosh, dude, I think either way it shakes out, it's a coin toss. Like, it's truly a coin toss. In a 3-game series, I have no idea. In a 7-game series, I have no idea. In a 15-game series, I have no idea. I think it's going to be a pitcher's duel. No matter who gets on the mound. I don't think anybody's scoring more than 5 runs. No chance. I don't think that's happening. JSerra is well rested on the mound. They got everybody except for Jump available. So that includes David Horn, J.J. Hollis, Tristan LaMaison, who did pitch but is available. Again, I'd anticipate Eric Silva potentially on Saturday. Don't quote me on that. Because he did toss 2/3 of an inning to get the final 2 outs against Ayala, but they're well rested. They got arms. The bats are hot. Luke Jewett is scorching the baseball right now. 2 home runs already. So in the postseason in 3 games, I think it's gonna be a 1-run game. I think it's going to come to a 1-run, maybe 2 runs if it gets crazy. I think it's going to be a 1-run game, and I think it's going to be a nail biter. I think it could be a walk-off. I think it could be extra innings and a walk-off, or it's going to be very, very tight. There are going to be, it's probably, a lot of times what it comes down to, it might be a coaching mistake. It's going to be one of those kinds of games. So I don't know. I wish I could give you an answer, Alex. I just can't. I really can't. In a one-game playoff, anything goes. And we know that. JSerra knows that. That's for sure.
And there you have it. I mean, keep an eye out on that matchup, folks. If you guys can make that trip out to Cal State Fullerton and Goodwin Field, definitely make that trip. And as Steven said, hey, sacrifice the Major League Baseball, because I'll tell you right now, these are kids that you're going to be seeing later on down the line. I'm going to give it at least maybe 4 or 5 years that you'll definitely be seeing it at a Major League team near you. So make sure it's JSerra versus Harvard-Westlake coming up this weekend. Make sure not to sleep up on that weekend matchup. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about College World Series, the final 8 teams going to be duking it out for the final 2 spots in the College World Series, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Andrew Garcia, the catcher for the Cal State San Marcos Cougars, and you're watching Sideline Sports Podcast. Enjoy.
And welcome back to Sideline Sports Podcast. Again, I am the host, Alex Naveja, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. Once again, on the left screen, that is Mark Vargas, NCAA football, NFL, combat sports, and NBA insider for Sideline Sports Podcast. And in the bottom screen, he is the voice of JSerra baseball. He goes by the name of Steven Granado. That first half, we were talking all about JSerra making their way all the way to the championship game, going to be playing against Harvard-Westlake over at Cal State Fullerton. And just what a grind it was from game 1 for JSerra now to make it all the way to the championship game. But we got to talk about some College World Series now. And there have definitely been some games that have been quite the surprising factor in this College World Series. I mean, first of all, Steven, what did you think of the fact of North Carolina State's run, being able to, maneuver their way in the regionals, go to the supers and defeat number 1 Arkansas, and now going to the College World Series? What are you thinking about them?
Yeah, that was a heck of a comeback. Obviously you're thinking Arkansas all the way. They've been number 1 almost all year. Finished at number 1. That Arkansas squad, man, can they hit? And that's the bread and butter for the backs. So yeah, for them to not be at Omaha, 1, surprising, 2, that they get upset. So I think that's the beauty of the College World Series tournament. Once the regular season ends and you start, more coverage, and I feel like ESPN's done a pretty good job over the last couple of years of bumping up the coverage for not only the men's side, but the women's side at softball. We could talk about that softball tournament all day long. That was one incredible tournament. On the men's side, it's been exciting too. I don't know if it's reached those levels of the softball side, but man, it's so cool to once those regionals come around. That's when you kind of start feeling it in the air. You're like, oh yeah, you maybe not been watching all year. I think that's kind of the general consensus with a lot of the general public sports fans. Like, I'm kind of paying attention to college baseball, but once regionals hits, then it's kind of got that different vibe. And you're like, oh yeah, these are great ball games to be played around the country. And for Arkansas to not be there because they had a heck of a year and a good run, but for them to not be there almost seems unjustified. You're like, that was the favorite. Them and Vandy have been kind of the top dogs of the last couple of years. You want to toss in Virginia as well, but yeah, it's very weird that Arkansas is not there. Very strange.
I mean, that's just like we were talking about the CIF playoffs. Anything could happen. It's a couple of teams. All you need is to get hot. A couple good showings by your pitcher, and next thing you know, you're winning 1, 2, 3 games, and you're in the final 8, or the semifinals, or the finals of your CIF. It's the thing is that people forget. People want to make things so complicated. It's a game. Kids at this time, they're young men in the College World Series, but everybody's showing up. They have to perform, and if you have a better day, you're going to win. And that's the beauty of it. It's not like, now you're going to have a series and, a couple teams have to lose twice and, all that. But it's almost, like how we were saying about how JSerra with starting below 500, being in so many close games, the season not happening. What else would you want for NC State? When you start getting a couple games you start building that momentum, you feel it in everything you do. When you're going to practice, when you're on the sideline, when you're warming up, you have that extra, it's not even a motivation. It's just that extra, like it's, I don't even have a word for it right now. But like I said, if you play sports and you've been there, done that, you know what I'm talking about. When you have that momentum on the big mo, that's what I've heard some people call it. Might be on NC State side.
Right, absolutely. I'm rooting for NC State right now because they're the underdog. I mean, they're a non-ranked team. Not a lot of people are expecting a whole lot of love. Everyone, just like Steven said, everyone was saying, oh, it's Arkansas all the way, Arkansas, or even Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a very easy team to root for. But, I mean, when you have NC State and you have Virginia, two non-ranked programs making it all the way to the College World Series, you really want to root for these underdog teams. You have all these other ranked teams. But, I mean, for us, Cali guys, it's nice to see a Cali team be on there, not UCLA, but to see Stanford, to see them make it to the College World Series, a different team representing California. That's nice. And not exactly California, but the next state over for Arizona, for the Wildcats to make it all the way to the College World Series. That's another great thing to see as well. So we're starting to see a little bit more West Coast love. And I definitely appreciate that, seeing some teams making it all the way to the College World Series and finally starting to see some more love in the Pac-12 conference.
Yeah, you're starting to see some new blood. Like I mentioned earlier, it's been Virginia and Vandy, right? And Vandy's still very well. I mean, Leiter and Rocker, they're no better 1-2 punch in all of college baseball. But it is nice to get some new blood in there. Yeah, it is shocking that UCLA, right? UCLA was a very good ball club this year. And they're going to continue to be very good over the next couple of years. What they've done out at Jackie Robinson is great. But for them not be there is a little strange. It is still weird that, Fullerton hasn't been in the mix over, the last, about decade or so now. And the fall from Gates for Cal State Fullerton, if you want to talk about local sports. Long Beach, obviously, UCI had an opportunity, didn't get there either. So there's a couple of programs in this area, regionals and super regionals that are still good ball clubs. But nationally, it is nice to see, yes, it's a little bit farther away, but it is nice to see some more local teams making it out that way.
So very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Mark. Mark, who do you think that the matchup is going to be in that final for the College World Series?
Like we said, rooting for NC State, but, it's tough. I think it's going to be Vandy, Virginia. I think we're going to see the two top dogs, and I'm going to go with Vandy winning it this year.
Yeah, I'll take Vandy with you too. Yeah, I'm taking Vandy. It's just that 1-2 punch, man. That they have enough offense to back it up, right? They have enough offense to back up Kumar and Jack. Like they can ride them forever, and they've rode them all season. I think Jack had a rougher start by his standards a couple outings ago, if not his last outing. Can't remember exactly, just going off the top of my head, but. Yeah, I mean Vanderbilt, but I'll take either Vanderbilt or I'll go random like Tennessee or something, just a random, ride it all the way Cinderella.
I'll go with the Vanderbilt, but I'm actually going to go with Texas. I mean, the Longhorns, that's a team you can never discount when it comes to college baseball. That's a team that they're always in the bracket. They're always in the regionals, always making a great push, always having a great program year in, year out. Rewinding it back to 2017, that regional where Long Beach State hosted it that year, that was an amazing scene, seeing just Blair filled with fans. Not a single seat was available. Getting to see that elimination game, Long Beach State versus the Texas Longhorns. And what I saw from that Longhorns program, this is a program that, yeah, they're serious. This is the real deal. Just every year, always putting up a serious program, putting up some serious talent. And I think this year, this could be the final, Vanderbilt versus Texas this year. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on the matchups, and we'll make it friendly. Whoever, if any of us wins it, I say they got to buy lunch. I think
you just want free lunch, Alex. I think that's what you're rolling with.
No, I'm just hungry right about now. I didn't get to eat breakfast before jumping on. But you know what? That's all the time we have left here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys like this episode, please give this episode a thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button down below. We are just 20 subscribers away from going to 300. That's right. We're trying to reach that 300 mark, and the goal originally was to reach 300 by the end of this year, but it's more and more likely for us to get very close to reaching that number. But thank you so much for tuning into this one. On my left-hand side, that was Mark Vargas, NCAA football, combat sports, NBA insider, and NFL as well. Mark, as always, man, thank you so much for everything you do for the podcast, and thank you so much for chiming on, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you once again to everybody out there tuning in on, YouTube, turning in on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Everybody, man, just appreciate you guys, and we're going to continue to come out with episodes every week, and we're just going to get better each and every week and give you guys more content. So let's get this, like I said, we're here for the long run, man.
And the bottom screen, that is Steven Granado. Thank you so much, Steven, for coming on to the podcast. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Let's play some high school ball.
Absolutely. A lot of baseball going on right now. And, of course, make sure to go on manscaped.com. Use our promo code SIDELINE20 to save yourself 20% off, plus free shipping to make sure you guys could get some amazing products like this, or even the weed whacker to be able to make sure your nose hairs are in line and ear hair is in line as well. But I'm Alex Naveja, the host of Sideline Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, source of your SoCal sports news. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the CIF Southern Section Championship game and the College World Series.